everyone, this is C. Ajay Shah and you are watching Ajay's Costing Concept. As we had promised that we shall be coming up with a case study digest series, a case study which has been recently launched or which has been recently published by Institute ICAI, which is available on BOS portal. A case study digest is applicable for May 21 attempt onwards, and it is for all the students who are appearing from May 21. So there are a lot of students, a lot of requests received that sir kindly record these lectures, because those who have considered these lectures or those who have purchased lectures in the past or from the other faculties, they are finding it difficult to have a case study digest knowledge, or they are finding difficult for the conceptual understanding. So considering that fact, considering the requirement of the students, and considering the the changes, the amendments, the new points or the new kind of questions what they have considered in this case study digest, we have decided to record this series. And this case study digest series, all the conceptual wise lectures or all the case studies, skill based questions we shall be covering, and it shall be available for you people. Now, what this case study digest series is, why we are recording this. As I said, that case study digest is something where Institute has recently implemented this or recently published this, right? A book of 180 pages, that is what we are here to discuss. A book of 180 pages having 49 questions. We are here to discuss those 49 questions of this case study digest, or what we call it as case study digest, right? Now, before I proceed with this case study digest, or before I start with explaining why we are doing this, how we are doing this is available on BOS knowledge portal. So exactly what will happen is, you can find out from, this is available from BOS knowledge portal, where in that CA final, if you consider study material case study digest, it is paper number 5. So from there you will be able to download what kind of questions or what kind of scenarios or what they have considered over here, right? Now, one more thing which I want to discuss over here, that what these 49 questions are. See, basically this 49 questions, if I talk about, understand, this 49 questions what we are talking. So this is what I have downloaded. There are 14 case study questions, there are 12 case scenario questions, and there are 23. So 14 plus 14 plus 12 plus 23, that will come to 49 questions what we have. Now these questions are divided into 3 categories. One is case study, one is case scenarios, and the third is skill based questions. So there are 3 category of questions what we have. Now, what is case study, what is case scenario, and what is skill based question? I'll come to that point, but before that, understand, this lectures or this series or this kind of case study what we have in the previous classes or in our classes what we have in our batches, we have also conducted, or in our material there is a special case study chapter what we have, right? More than 20 case studies are already such case studies which we have discussed. Further, in the past lectures, in the RTP lectures also, we have gone through this kind of questions. Now basically, what kind of questions or what is the expectation or what ICI wants you people to have a knowledge from this? See, exactly, if you understand, previously when it was AMA in the old syllabus, as I said, it was Advanced Management Accounting, the institute expected more of practical knowledge from you people and more of practical questions from costing and OR was asked. Now in the new syllabus, from the past trend what we are observing with regards to these questions or with regards to the exam papers or what kind of amendments, changes that institute is bringing, and the way we analyze, it is observed that it is not only about practical questions, but it is more about implementation of this question, right? Implementation of these concepts, scenarios of these concepts, where you are required or you are being trained to answer how will you adapt this scenario, what would be your suggestions, how would you interpret, how would you analyze, how would you evaluate, right? What would be your decision, how will you communicate to the management? Such kind of expected or such kind of questions are expected by ICAI in Scmpe. And that is the reason why in the past questions or if the past exams you see, a lot of students have this complaint that sir, we did a lot of practical things, we did a lot of questions, we practiced a lot, but we were not able to answer or we couldn't clear. See, understand, our classes or why we are conducting this, the reason behind conducting this class is that when it comes to understanding of your classes, there is an ICAI, right? And this is what you are. The students are over here, right? So we at Ajay's Costing Concept, our motto is that this ICAI has some expectation from you people, right? They expect such kind of answers, they expect such kind of questions, they expect such kind of your interpretations, analysis, and that is where the students are required to answer. Now, students have to accept the expectations what ICAI is doing, right? So we in this lecture, to make sure that students accept this, we become a bridge over here. So we are mere, or in our classes, this 49 questions when I teach, it is not that only this 49 questions can be asked in exam. See, understand, I am dealing with this in so many years and so many students I have already informed in so many batches on online also. I have said that it is not over. Sir, what we if we do this 49 questions, is it done? This 49 questions what you do, it is not over, it is not finished yet, right? In exams they can ask any question except this 49 questions. There can be questions that can be asked other than this 49 questions, right? There can be questions that can be asked out of the syllabus questions. There can be questions that can be asked with mix match concept of this from all various chapters, right? So what you are required to understand is this 49 questions what we are dealing is not the end. That is not just a finish. It is mere understanding of concepts, applicability of concepts, as well as when such kind of questions or when such kind of points or cases are asked in exam, how will you be able to deal? That is what a skill development is required, and that is why we are here. I am making sure that I reach to that level in the students where they can expect or they can accept the expectation what ICAI has developed, and that is a bridge model what we are furthering here. So this 49 questions, before we start with the lectures, I am very clearly mentioning is it is not just a finish, it is mere a conceptual understanding. So this class is where in this lectures, in every lectures that we teach, I always say to all my students, go for conceptual learning. The same questions, a similar repeat questions, a repeated concept might not be asked. There would be something out of the box in exam, right? Around 60 to 20 marks are always observed somewhere in the examination where they are out of the box, out of the concepts, right? Or you call it as out of the syllabus. There is ambiguity in the questions, there is a confusion for the students that how to solve this, how to approach this. In such kind of scenarios or in such kind of cases, this conceptual understanding of skill-based questions would be very, very helpful to you people. So, what I am saying over here is, understanding this 49 classes or this 49 total questions what we do, it is not just a mere end for you people. Learn more of the concepts, learn more of your understanding, learn how to answer what are the expectations that institute has. Now when it comes to expectation, right, when it comes to this word expectation, I want to highlight one more point over here. The way I have been analyzing past exam papers, the way we have observed how students ask what the answer sheets that students receive, right, the way answers are provided by institute and what kind of marks that they give. See, understand, when it comes to expectation, there is a fact what we have observed that institute has few bullet points. See, understand, if you want to score match bullet points, this is a funda that you need to understand. See, institute has few bullet points. For example, I'll give you one concept we have is of building block model, right? Those who are already my students or those who have already done Scmpe from other faculties, they might be knowing there is a concept of building block model in performance evaluation, right? So there are three standards, dimensions, and then rewards. In that there are points of quality, innovation, flexibility, resource utilization, financial measures, competitive measures, all kind of this kind of bullet points we have. So basically institute expects this kind of bullet points from you, right? So whatever the content is, a lot of time we have observed that the checker who is taking the supplementary might not be much interested in what the concept or what the language or what the subject matter that you are writing in that bullet point. They are merely focusing more on the bullet points, whether you have covered those bullet points, what ICAI expects from you, whether those bullet points are mentioned in your answer, whether the sequence might be up and down. See, understand, the person who's checking, he will understand that there are 6 bullet points. You might write down 1, 2, 4, 6, 3, or you may write down 5, 6, 3, 4, 1, 2, like that. But there are marks, or they provide you marks on the basis of those bullet points. So in this classes, in this series, I will highlight more on these bullet points for you people, that how you should come up with bullet points. What are the things that you should take care while you're reading questions, or while you're reading this kind of concepts, or while you're answering. This is one of those very, very important, not only for Scmpe, for all the subjects I am talking about, right? It is not that in Scmpe you require bullet points. In every, whether it is audit, law, whichever subject is, make sure that there are bullet points that you consider, right? Number two, what if you want to score, what is the second thing that ICAI expects from you over here is that your solution should be neat, clean, and it should be understanding, right? Like what happens in practical questions, if I talk about solutions should be clean, right? And they should be having an understanding. The understanding in the sense what I'll explain, that whenever you write down, whatever you write down, your solution clean doesn't mean that your supplementary should be clean. It doesn't mean that. The solution would be, it should be easily accessibly checkable, that what exactly you are mentioning them. Like, you know, in school days, students had a habit of underlining, marking down, writing another para, leaving one space, leaving one right. That kind of solutions what institute expects. So when you are writing bullet points, you leave a line in between, or you start with a new line, the new point, a new space, a new line, and that becomes a highlight point for the examiner to check. And that is what the word clean is over here. Understanding means that a lot of time I have seen practical questions when it comes in exams, a lot of students do a solution, right? They go in a right solution, their answers are right, but still they do not get marks because they do not follow the steps. The word understanding over here means the steps, right? You follow the steps that they are expecting, right? The bullet points, the steps that they are expecting are very, very important. Sir, steps means, is it necessary that we should have the same kind of solution what ICAI is expecting? Not like that. What does the steps over here mean? That whenever there is a question, there would be two methods to do the same, right? ICAI might also provide you two methods for the same. We suggest that first of all, when such kind of questions come in examination hall, or when such kind of questions are asked, make sure, try as much as possible that how institute has solved this kind of questions when it comes to your ICAI material. I'll explain why I'm saying this. See, when in our classes also I have always said that try to match the solution method of what ICAI is doing. It is not possible that in every sum you will be able to do it, but in majority sums you should understand what is the answering pattern. When there are multiple methods available, why ICAI has choose one of those methods. That is what when we teach in our practical classes, I have always said this. In all the chapters I have said this. See, this is the reason why institute takes this step, or this is the reason why institute takes this method. Why I am saying this is because a lot of time what happens is the solutions, or you know, suggested answers that are given to the checkers, they have some steps, right? And there are step markings provided. Now when you, if in case you follow the same method and you follow the same steps in neat and clean manner, it what happens is that your probability of getting marks becomes higher, right? Your answer is right, your steps are in a method what it is described and it is matching with ICI's expectation, your answer or your ability to achieve score marks becomes high. But when it comes to scenario where you choose the different method, though your answer is right, but we have personally observed that in a lot of answer sheets we have observed that there the marks might not be provided as what motivational marks are provided as per the suggested answer. The reason why, the person who's checking, he might get confused, he might not be able to have a visual, or he might not be able to understand what steps you are going through. So he doesn't have that much time to go through each and every step or each and every solution or each and every line that you're writing, right? And that is the reason why he will go through the final answer, he will check those steps. If those steps are not available, they are not understanding, he will give you less marks or he might not give you marks. So the step marking is very important, and that is the reason why over here I always say that follow the pattern what institute has done. Understand when you're reading, when you're learning, when you're understanding the question. We are not here to understand you the questions. We are here to understand you the concepts. The very important aspect of a just costing concept. The word itself says that we are here to make sure you learn concepts, and that is the reason why I'm saying is that while learning the concept itself, analyze, understand the situation, that how this kind of questions were provided in suggested solution or how institute would have solved, right? And that is the reason why in our classes we provide you multiple methods, and we always mention that, see, understand, this is the method that ICI is following. Why ICI is following this method? Because this is the reason, right? So try to do that. Once you do this, you will have a very good understanding and very good grip on the subject, and because of that what will happen is you will be able to expect, you will able to accept what ICI is expecting from you, and your marks will be available, right? So the first and foremost thing what I want to explain in this introduction class is that 49 questions is not just a limit, right? When we are learning this, all the classes or all the lectures you are watching, 49 lectures is not just a limit. It is mere understanding what you should understand, that what are things that we should learn. Now, talking of this concept itself, further I would add one more point, that in every answers what I provide you, in every questions or even every solutions what we provide you, there are few things that you need to understand, or there are few things that you need to apply. The first thing is you need to understand what question is this from, right? What chapter is this from, right? In every classes wherever we have been made sure we tried that we have done a chapter wise analysis, we have done a conceptual analysis, right? I'll just show you this. There is a chapter wise analysis graphics of this whole case study digest, that from which chapter, case study digest, case scenarios, skill based questions are asked. Now what is the difference between case study, case scenario? I'll come to that point later, but what I'm explaining first is that from which chapters these questions are. In examination also understand, because every chapter institute has different kind of expectations, institute has different kind of solutions that you would be required to answer. So first what I want you to understand is which chapter it is, and from that chapter in which what concepts they have been asked. From those concepts, what are the universal points, or you would say a common points or concept that I would use, that are very important. Like for example, again the one I said, building block model, as I said, and I said that institute expects that you should have such bullet points. I'll continue the same example, that you consider this in any of the examples or in any of the chapters, but I am continuing with the same because of a reason that I have already told you about that. So what I said is there are 6 bullet points that you need to consider in that conceptual in that what we said, building block model, right? Now when it comes to universal points, in every questions that we do, right, every question there would be some universal point, very important, I would say. Whether you learn that question, whether you learn the solution, whether the same question is asked in exam, or they have not repeated the same question. Still, what I would say is always go through the universal concept points. Universal points or universal concept is something which you need to understand. So what is this unit? There are common points. Like building block model, the question comes, what are the universal concepts? What are the common points that you need to understand? Like one more example I'll give you, just in time. If just in time question comes, what are the common points that you need to take care? What are the advantages, disadvantages while implementing just in time? How this solutions or what kind of common universal points are? So that is something where you have to write down when it comes to just in time. A lot of students I have seen, what happens is they will mug up the questions. Like this kind of question is asked, I will write this, I will write this, I will write that. But when it exams has a new question, they switch to a blunder. Like they will not understand what to do now. They get blank, right? Their answers, they know the concepts, but they do not know. They are not able to represent it well in the examination hall. And that is why in this series we have specially tried, or we have made sure that while reading the questions, while providing the solutions, or while understanding the solution that is being provided, we understand the first and foremost is what is the universal point, what are the common points. Like just in time concept I'm saying, or building block model, whatever we're discussing over here, right? There are 3 questions of just in time, right? There are in this 40 out of this 49 questions, there are 3 questions of building block model, right? So out of those 3 questions, whenever you revise this question, so whenever you read this question, whenever if building block model comes in exams or just in time comes in exams, how will you be writing this solution? So while reading this, I will first of all make sure that you understand the universal points, the common points, right? What we also call it as power points, right? That you have to write down these points. You have to make sure these points are in your answers. This point should be part of your solution. So how to do that? That is what we will be making sure that that skill is developed under you. The universal common points, what I said. Then second point, as I said, those are bullet points. What I talk about. The bullet points are specific points, right? They are more of, or you call it as specific points, right? If this concept comes, these are the specific points that are supposed to be questioned, or these are supposed to be answered. Like as I said, what is the difference between universal points and specific points, right? Sir, universal are something where you have to write them. I'll just give you one small example before I proceed forward. Like in IPCC or inter examination, they used to ask whether management should take this decision or not, right? So whether management should go with this or not, right? So what happens is, we used to write it down, yes, management should go with this, or yes, management should buy this, or yes, management should, or no, as per the answer there is this extra cost, management should not do this. But when it comes to questions of CA final, Scmpe, or when it comes to case studies, case scenarios, the skill based questions, they are not merely expecting from you what? They are not merely expecting from you that whether it is yes or no. What they are expecting is what further value addition you provide than yes or no, right? It is not just the end at yes or no. You might say, yes, management should follow because management is having this much amount of savings in cost. But what precautions? What company should, while implementing, what company should consider, or what company should understand before implementing or after implementing, or how they should be able to react? That kind of solutions are also required, and that is where the marks will be provided. So those are what I call it as universal points, right? That you should have understanding that if this kind of concepts are asked, if from this concept I have to write down this, whether my answer is yes or no, but this is common, something which I have to write down. When it comes to specific points, the difference between both I am explaining. What is specific point is, okay, if suppose this question is asked regarding this concept, it is asked, then these are the 5 points which specifically are required to be mentioned if asked in exam, right? If asked in exam. If not, then at least you have to make sure that the common points are written. So this is what the understanding should be. Further, right? So this is how our classes would be. Our this whole sessions, or our whole this series, or this whole our lectures that you're watching, you will be first of all, while reading the question, I will make sure what are the universal points that I'll explain you. I'll make sure what are the common things that you need to understand from all these 3 questions. I'll make sure that we do a brief first a brief conceptual understanding of that question. Like if example, I'll continue with the same. If I'm teaching building block model, I'll first spare few minutes for understanding the concept revision or repeat, because a lot of students who are not from our classes or who have opted for other faculties or whatever it is, for them a small revision first will be done for that concept. Why we are doing this concept, what was the origin of this concept, how these solutions are required. Then we shall switch to question. Once we read those questions, we shall understand what are the common points of this concept, what are the universal points of this concept, what are the specific points of this concept, how will you answer this, and out of those questions, which is the repeated or important question that you need to consider while doing a revision on the previous day of your examination. Because even I understand, even you people know, 49 questions you won't be able to repeat or you won't be able to revise it before exam, right? But out of those 49, if I tell that only these 15 questions or 12 questions are required to be done on the previous day, so that these 15 concepts are covered, it is a bonus for you, and that bonus is what I am here to give you, right? So understanding this, that is what our classes would be for. One further, so this is what how we will teach, how we will be considering further. The thing which is again a common, which a students has they were not able to understand, or they are not able to uh, write this down, that sir, what exactly what questions are you going to cover, how, what is the difference? See, before I understand what questions I am going to cover, or because I would always say that we will cover all the questions, right? But somewhere you might not be comfortable attending all the questions, you have different subjects, different priorities and all those stuff. So before I switch to that, there are three kind of questions what I said, right? The three kind of questions that are skill based question, case scenarios questions, and case study questions, right? What we have done, that is, we have segregated all these questions on chapters wise, right? So chapter number 1, how many questions are from chapter number 1 in case study, case scenario, skill based question, and we have also done a graphical presentation of the same. Now, but before what we have done, a common point again I will want to explain that, sir, when it comes to case study digest, what is the difference between case study, what is the difference between case studies, case scenarios? Because a lot of students don't know what exactly case study or case scenario is, and what a skill based question is required. In examinations, how will we come to know whether it is case study, whether it is skill based, or whether it is case scenario? Because on the basis of that situation, on the basis of that question, you have to answer, right? If in question examiner, or if in paper there is a case study question and you answer it down or you note it down as a skill based, or your answers are not matching with expectations, definitely will not get an answer, right? So now the question comes that, sir, how will we come to know? See, as I said that before I start with these lectures, or before I start with this question, these are some important concepts that you need to understand when it comes to exam, or when it comes to doing a revision, or when it comes to attending our classes, right? So what is the difference between these three? Why institute is segregated? See, on the preface part, what we have, there are the wordings that what exactly case study and case scenario is, and what does that mean? Because we normally don't read preface, right? But I'll just throw the lights on this, is that when it comes to case study, understand, the basic objective of a case study is to allow students to apply ideas and insights from theory to a real life situation and problem, right? All those theories that you are learning, all those concepts that you are learning, how will you practically implement this in your real life problems or issues? And that is what case study is. What is case study? Case study is a conceptual, a practical part, or a problem or issue would be given to you, and you have to apply your knowledge, you have to apply your concepts and answer that how will you be able to solve this, right? What is case scenarios? Case scenario is, as opposed to case study, are short cases written in a more compact style with an appealing narrative. Case scenario focuses on covering more depth in a specific area, right? So basically, case scenario is of a specific area, a depth, as we call it, a super specialization kind of thing. That when a case study is a mix of few concepts, is a mix of few chapters, or you would say few concepts, a lot of things are required when you're solving a case study. It is not that mere you will focus only on one part. As I said, that you will not focus only on financial part. You have to also focus on non-financial aspects while answering case studies, right? When it comes to case scenarios, a scenario is developed where a specific point or a specific concept, an institute wants that for that specific concept you are able to answer, right? And that is what the case scenario is. So while reading case study, understand you have to have a knowledge of various other concepts also to face the problem and to provide the solution. While reading a case scenario, you should have a specific knowledge, a specific conceptual on basis of that specific you are providing a solution. I'll give you a small example. Like a case study might ask you a question that which is a performance model or which is a evaluation method that you will like that company should implement, and then you in that problem you are required to suppose provide a solution that okay, if company is doing this, company can go for balance scorecard, company can go for building block model, company can go for performance pyramid to evaluate the non-financial aspects of the performance, right? But when it comes to case scenarios, that in that case institute will specifically ask, like if company is implementing balance scorecard, how would you suggest, what would be your requirement, how would you implement this, or what areas of focus should be, what should be the pre-implementation of balance scorecard. So then that becomes a case scenario, right? So this is the difference between case study and a case scenario, which is very important for you to understand. Third is skill based question. Now see, the third aspect what you are required to see is a skill based question, right? What is skill based question, sir? For that institute, I have referred a material over here. See, if you go to BS Knowledge Portal, there is a skill assessment, right? Strategic cost management and performance evaluation skill assessment evaluation techniques. Now, this is somewhere where I will, as and how we go for the question, I will explain that where this skill based questions are or what expectation institute is putting. Like if they are using the word analyze, how, what, see, how are you expected to analyze the detail in what you have learned? If they are asking evaluation, what is the recommendation that you should earn? Like what is the explanation? How would you recommend? How would you answer? Right? So this is again application. How would you apply? So this is what is required when it comes to the questions of skilled based assessment, right? So these are the important terms: comprehension, knowledge, what are you expected to know. So this page is again available on US Knowledge Portal. As and how we do skill based questions, I will explain this also, that how if the word analyze is asked, what are you required to answer? If the word evaluation is asked, what are you required to answer? See, what is recommended, what is evaluated, how would you advise, right? So when it comes the word evaluation, I'm just giving you an example over here, but when the moment we go through these questions, I'll explain that in detail. Like when the word there is an evaluation, what advice, how should you advise? Advice requires, see, this is what I have been reading. Advice requires to build a good comprehensive augment that leads to one or more choices for the owners or managers to consider, right? So that is how the advice will work, and that is what is required. So considering that fact, first of all, a student need to understand that what is the difference between skill based, what is the difference between case study and a case scenario. That is the first thing that you need to understand, and that is what I have explained, that case study is holistic approach. You can say case study is holistic approach, like why case scenario is specific in-depth approach. It is specific, it is in-depth, a specific part that you need to learn or you need to understand, right? So as I said, while case study provide a wide and depth requirement of holistic analysis based discussion, case scenarios more in-depth analysis are given and managerial dilemma. So that is the difference what you need to understand. And when it comes to skill based question, how a skill based question should be answered or what expectation that they are putting, that I will explain in further. Now, how this 49 questions we shall be dealing with, understand that, very important when it comes to attending the class, when it comes to understanding the sir how we will be solving this. See, out of this 49 questions what we have, right, as we have analyzed, there are 6 questions which are from November RTP. Right, RTP 20 November attempt, what I am saying. There are 6 questions which are as similar, or you can say they are from November RTP questions, right. There are 6 questions which are again repeated questions when it comes to your ICAI material. So if you have gone through the ICAI material, these 6 questions are repeated questions, right. As in our classes we have gone through ICAI material, we have gone through those questions, the same questions are repeated over here. They might have a different terminologies or different company name or like that, but expectations, requirement, question asked, what you are supposed to answer is all same. These 6 are same. And so considering this part and further 6, if I talk about what are the further 6 questions are, they are from ICAI journal. That is what we have again discussed, right. So basically if you consider this, there are 18 questions, there are 31 new questions that they have asked over here. There are 31 new questions which are required to be done, right. November RTP, if you go through 20 questions, are 6 questions are from there, 6 questions are repeated from ICAI material itself, which are similar questions we can say, and 6 questions are of sorry, ICAI journal, right. So 6 questions are of ICAI journal which are again similar as they have been provided in your ICAI journal. Now 31 new questions. How shall we be dealing with this question? I'll explain this all 49 questions. I'll definitely make sure that in this series or in the class all the questions are covered. But like if there are concepts where there are more than 2, 3, 4 questions of the same concept, we shall make sure that there are few questions that we do and few questions we just provide you the highlight where you are supposed to do a self-study or you are supposed to read that and understand that from previous or for our understanding how they are helpful. Because in examination I won't be there to solve each and every question for you. So it is required for you also to understand and self-develop a skill. How will you read? How will you analyze? How will you answer? How we should understand? So that is the reason why there are few repeated questions or there are questions where the concepts are repeating. We have already discussed in our class. There is not a much major difference in those questions. That would be, I would be giving just a mere highlight of those questions so that there is a savings in time, number 1, and number 2 is you do it by your own self so that it gets easy, it gets for you it becomes more and more conceptual understanding when you do it by your own self, right. So this 31 new questions that we will be dealing. Further, there are new amendments that also we have, right, in the syllabus. So this new amendments, which specific amendments or which specific questions are from this amendment, that I'll be making sure that we deal, and a special amendment conceptual clarity classes or conceptual capsule first, and then we go with that question. So that is also very, very important. Now, how we will be recording these classes or how will it be, you would be watching this. So what we will do is, we will not go question wise, we will not go question sequence wise or number wise. That is what we shall not be following. We shall not be following chapter wise. This chapter wise sequence will also be not followed. We shall follow concept wise, or you call it as topic wise, right. So chapter number 1, one topic, how many questions are from that topic. Chapter number 2, one topic, how many questions are from that topic. Chapter number 8, 3 topics, how many questions from this 3 topics. So topic wise classes you shall be getting, right. As I said, just in time has say 3 questions over here. So what I will do is, first I will teach just in time concept, of brief, a small introduction of just in time explanation, then question number 1, question number 2, question number 3, and at the end I will explain what was the difference in these 3 questions, why there are 3 different questions. If the question was from case study, what they were expecting. If the question is from case scenario, see what was they expecting. If question is skill based, how you are supposed to answer. And that way I will analyze the whole situation or whole concept and explain that how this is to be dealt, if this kind of question, if this kind of question in this same concept can be asked, right. So we shall be going concept wise, topic wise, one concept, questions regarding to those concepts shall be done. those common topics where there are 2, 3, 4 or 2 or more concepts that are asked together, we shall have a common topic or common questions, one class or a few classes of common questions, where common questions will be dealt together, so that what understanding you should have should be taken care. One more and further, one more thing I would like to add is that those who are not our students, those who are making sure that they are attending our classes for the first time or they are watching it on YouTube or whatever it is, this series we won't, it is not that you are not our students, you will not be able to understand, you will not be able to read, or you will not be able to get what we are explaining. Why? Because before we start any question, there would be a conceptual understanding of that topic or that concept, right? A small brief. So you will have a recall or a revision or a repeat of all this, what the scenario is or what this concept is. Then we shall move forward with the questions. In that questions, while reading those solutions, we shall move forward for universal common points, specific points, bullet points, conclusion points, and how should you should conclude such kind of questions or such kind of topics, and that how it will be become easy for you. So it is not something that, sir, I have attended that faculty's class or I have done my self-study or whatever it is. You can definitely watch these videos or you can definitely attend this series. It won't create any issue for you. It will anyways add a knowledge to your bank, or it will anyways give you a more conceptual clarity or skill answers for when you are attending. Right? Now, which are these 6 RTP questions, or which are these 6 repeated questions, or which are these ICAI 6 questions that you need to understand, right? So from that itself we will be able to understand that okay, this number of questions I will not be this number of questions I'll be getting from there also. So while reading from ICAI General, I should take care that these 6 questions are already covered, or while RTP I should take care that these 6 are already covered. So in that case, which are these 6 questions that I'll just explain it over here. I'll just give you the brief over here. The first question is of November 20 attempt. This is of November 20 RTP. Right. Then we have question number 9. This is again question number 9 is repeat question. This is of performance evaluation chapter, which is again a repeat question. Then what we have is question number 14. It is from ICAI journal, right? This question is covered from ICAI journal, as we have seen. Then what we have is we have question number 2. You might notice down when I am saying, when I am repeating this, so it will become easy for you also. Question number 2 of case, question number 3 of case scenario is again ICAI journal question, right? Question number 5 ICAI journal question, right? Question number 7, it is a November 20 RTP question. So these are the 3 and 6 questions from case scenarios and case studies. Then coming to skill based questions. So the question number 2 is of November 20 RTP. This question number 3 is again of May or whatever you call it, RTP question. As I said, there are 6 questions from RTP, so this is a question from that concept that they have covered. Then question number 10, November 20 RTP. Again, question number 11 is again November 20 RTP. Question number 12 is again November 20 RTP. Right? Question number 13, if I talk about question number 13, is a repeat question, right? Repeat question is a similar kind of question which you will read in your institute module also. Question number 14 is a ICAI journal question, right? It is a question that was covered in ICAI journal. Question number 16, again a ICAI journal question. You may note this down, no? This would be helpful for you. Question number 18, again a ICAI journal question it is. Question number 21, a repeat question. 22, again a repeat question, and 23, again a repeat question, right? So if you see, if you note this down, or you can pause this video to write it down. See, 21, 22, 23, 13, 4, that is again, these all are repeat questions, right? 4 questions. Over here, question number 9, as I said, is again a repeat questions, and they are what these questions are covered from repeated questions. November 20 RTP, question number 7, question number 1 of case study, right? Question number 2, question number 10, 11, 12, these all are November 20 RTP questions, right? So this is May RTP, or I would also call this repeat, 6 questions of repeat, what I said, this is from that, right? Then ICI journal, question number 14, 16, 18 of skill based question, question number 3, 5 of case scenarios, and question number 14 of case study. So these are the 18 questions that are repeated somewhere you would have already done, or in our classes what we have this already repeated, or we have already done. So we have done RTP, we have done ICI journal, and these are 31 new questions that they have covered, right? As I said before we start, make sure while we are reading, because while reading these questions or while solving question, I might not put you much stress on the what kind of questions or what kind of things. This is the common point available for all your questions right now itself, that while reading universal concepts points, which are the universal concept points, make notes. We will record notes that what are important over here when these questions are asked, when these concepts are, what are the things to be taken care, what are the bullet points that it should be taken care, and how the question should be solved, how what should be the difference when case study is asked. You should come to know in examination that this is case study, this is case scenario, this is skill based, what institute is expecting, right? So let us start with the question. Let us start with the first question, the first concept, I would say, and as in further how it will be required, I'll be making sure that I'll give you a depth knowledge of that concepts or that questions also whenever it is required, correct? So let us start with this. Let us start our series of case study digest. We shall make sure that to the earliest in the short manner possible we shall be able to finish this, and with the best output or with the best knowledge. But make sure from the day one itself you should have a clarity. It is not a stop at 49 questions. Anything, any further clarity, any kind of questions what they ask, we should have a knowledge how we will be appearing for this in examination hall, right? So let us start with the first concept or first questions in our class.